start recording. There we go. Okay, so whatever we did in the last class while we were with John here was kind of how we could make our site using Bootstrap. And we covered a few things. To be specific, we covered about the navigation bar. And in the navigation bar, we realized we have sort of these drop downs. And also we covered something to do with Bootstrap forms and also the Bootstrap grid system. So this form has been built using the Bootstrap grid system with the Bootstrap form classes. So I'll just quickly do a recap all through. So we shall start by going through the navigation bar, then how we could be, first we shall just do the normal, through the navigation bar, through the form, and through the Bootstrap grid system. Then we shall just capture a few things here. That is how we did, like I can be able to go to the about page, go to the contact us page without really losing my form or losing the view of my navigation bar, and without losing my navigation bar, and kind of reusing the same navigation bar, and maybe even in the future using the same footer. So I'll just show you how you do that one with just pure PHP. But with the time when we'll be using now frameworks, we'll be covering it using different ways. We are not going to kind of manually do this. For example, if we tend to use Laravel, we shall have a different view. If we use Django, for example, it will be a different view. Or generally using even React.js, it will be something different. So about the navigation bar, so I'll just minimize all my folders, and there we go. So in my Bootstrap folder, that's for my website, I have these two folders, components and the pages. Then we have index.php file. The index.php file serves the homepage, and this is the content you saw at the homepage. That's authentication, is to prove. In short, you saw this text. So if I may go back there, go to the homepage. This is the content. So this tells us that we are at the homepage, and as I said, the index page is always taken as the homepage. It's always considered as the entry point of a website. In most cases, that's the index page. And sometimes with the different frameworks, some tend to use main.php or main.js. Let me just say .js because it's purely in the JavaScript ecosystem. But for most websites, including that JavaScript, the entry file is always index.something. If it's HTML, index.html, index.php, index.js. That's usually the entry point. So in our components file, we have two things. We have the footer, which is purely empty, not really empty, but holding something. That's the script, and the closing tags of the body and the HTML. I'll tell you why we have the body and HTML on the footer.php, not anywhere else. Then we have the navbar.php. And for the navbar.php, it contains a few things. The first one is it introduces the entire content of the head, and it introduces the opening tag of the body. That's why we have the closing tag of the body on the footer, just to hold the scripts, and maybe even let's say we had a footer here. We can just say maybe p, and we can just even say we are using Bootstrap, in fact. So let's just take advantage of that and do something like div.bg-light, enter, and p.text-center, and say build with below.
No, hold on.
Yes,
There must be one mistake you always do.
yeah.
Mimi nimelani, nimekuelewa.
Mm.
Sasa mtu akiona ataandika kwa side yake, maandika sijui div.dash.bg.light atajaribu na hii side I work, atajiuliza what did this guy did, like, so try to show them like some short.
Okay.
For me, I'm used to
P
them by
PG hyphen light.
Okay, John, yes, go ahead. Why do I do like div.bg dash light, or whenever I'm writing my code, I usually you will just find me doing something like yes.
Is to make your work easy by putting classes like example div.bg light dot text and
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's kind of just writing for us the class with whatever the classes we defined there. That's the good thing with the VS Code. That's a nice shortcut. It kind of helps us here. I'm going to add a class here and say margin top of 3. And now if I come here to my code and refresh the page, now I have a footer here. This is my footer in fact, and it has been coded here with the help of Bootstrap styling. So padding Y, I'm going to say here to increase it a bit. There we are. Oh, and you might wonder, I only added padding on the Y-axis for this PG, but sort of this one has the bottom part has an extra bit of it. Reason being, all P classes or all the P tags on all P tags when using Bootstrap, they kind of have a margin bottom. So just reset the margin bottom and it will be good to go. Yeah. So if I go to the about us page, for example, you notice I also have that footer there. And if I go to sign up page, you notice I also have the footer here. So you might be asking how to do that, but I'll get back to that in a moment. Let's just look into the navbar. We're showing you after having the opening tag of the body from the navbar here. Here I have the closing on the footer here, and also the HTML tag. So it's kind of the navbar and the footer have to be included in the same file for them to complement correctly. That is, the navbar to provide the opening tag of the body and the HTML and the body, then the footer to provide the closing tag of body and HTML. Because as you know, whenever you have a HTML file, somebody's having some background noise. Kindly somebody mute. Who is, I'm not sure who's having that noise. Robin.
Oh,
It's having a lot of background noise. Thank you. Yeah, so as you know, like for the HTML file, it's kind of, you have to have the closing tag of HTML and the closing tag of the body. So you have to include them in a file. Let's go back to the navbar. So the navbar introduces the head, and in the head we have included a few things. That's, we have introduced Bootstrap. That's Bootstrap CSS. Using it, CDN, we are using JS Deliver. Yeah, we are using JS Deliver as our CDN provider for this bootstrap.min.css file. We have also used the Google a font family called Inito from Google. That's where we have included the pre-connect links to Google APIs and gstatic.com, so that whenever we try to visit this link that starts with fonts.googleapis.com, it can somehow load faster because we have done something called pre-connecting to the DNS of that specific domain. That's why we do pre-connect. So that's the work of pre-connect. In fact, just prefetch before this page is loaded, kind of just set it at an eager mode. Preload it. That's the thing. Then next we have just said here in the style body to use a font family of Unito sans serif. That's the thing we have done there. Then now we come to our navbar, and I believe that's the only thing we have here. And you can notice just the body, we have no closing tag here. There at the footer part there. So what in our nav, you will notice we have something here. That is, we have the term navbar here, and we have the rest of the links to the right. And you can notice our navbar has not really started at the end, and the account has not really gone to the far end. So that's where we learned the first class. When we are defining on our navbar, you will notice we define a class called navbar there, and we pass in some extra class here called navbar expand lg. So what's navbar expand lg? What this means is that whenever we hit the larger screen breakpoint, expand the navbar, kind of just show it fully. But if we go below, hide or do something else. That's the thing. So it's kind of expand at LG, or so you can change this one to expand at MD, but let's leave it at LG. The next class we have is BG primary. By default, the BG primary of Bootstrap is blue color, but you are free to change these colors to match your desired design using the Bootstrap. Believe they have that sort of, you can adjust those colors by your own. Change the primary color, change the secondary color. So anyway, we have BG primary, we have BG secondary. So just test those ones out quickly. But this one might not directly work out because flashing issues a bit. But you can notice that with BG we have sort of a grayish color as our background. After BG secondary, we have BG success. Success, as the term talks, success is successful, so green. So BG success is green. We have the next one, we have BG danger, which is sort of dangerous, yes, red color. Then we have BG info, just for warnings. Oh, not info is not for warnings. So let's just do BG warning. So BG warning is sort of for the yellow color. Just for warning somebody. Then we have BG info, and what we do with the BG info, it means like it's sort of the bluish color but a lighter version of blue color. Then we have BG dark, dark background, black background, dark. That's our background, just a dark color. And then we finally have BG light, like that. So BG light is sort of whitish but grayish also, not really. So you will notice that you might not be seeing the words or the text because of the background. So let's revert back to BG primary. So that was the first part. So whenever you are defining your navbar, you can define it with navbar expand. This is critical, and you can change this one to expand at MD. I'll try to illustrate that one in a moment. So I've changed that one to MD, and you'll notice still it's expanded. But the moment I go to the smaller screen, I'm going to increase my size here, and then I'm going to set this one to responsive so that we can experience that one. So MD is at about 768 pixels, or is it at 5? So let's just see. I'm expanding slowly. So there we are. You'll notice the moment we hit at 768 pixels, our navbar sort of expanded on top of here. Then so that's what we have, navbar expansion. Then I'll just switch this one to large, like that. Reload the page. So what happens in this class, we have XZS, we have SM, we have MD, we have LG, we have Excel. I believe that's the largest class. So if I start to expand this one, did I reload this page? So let's go. We have hit the 768 mark. We are actually, let me increase, we are at 770, but you will notice that our navbar has not yet expanded, or those links have not yet been shown. So but if I expand and exceed 800 pixels, is it 800 or is it 1000? I believe it must be 1000 pixels. Yeah, at 1000 pixels. So let's just continue. So the moment we hit 1000 pixels, actually it's not 1000 pixels, let me just confirm. Yeah, it's 991, 92. Yeah, it's 992 pixels. The moment we hit 992 pixels and above, our navbar will now expand. That's the work of the expanding. So navbar expand LG will define when your navbar will be compressed and when your navbar will be expanded. And this navbar expand LG will work hand in hand with this other class here, with the collapse and the navbar collapse class, so that they can be able to define the look and the feel of the page at a given point. So at this particular point, when we are above 992 pixels, the navbar collapse and navbar collapse class, they sort of use the display flex with the horizontal way. But the moment we go below, you will notice now if I click there and hover, click on home, look at the code. Let's just look at the code here. You will notice now our navbar collapse and collapse, yeah, these ones, they sort of have a different flow of the data. They are no longer flowing on the horizontal axis, but now they are now flowing on the y-axis. Top, so kila moja, top down. That's the thing. That's the work of navbar expand. So they will work hand in hand. The navbar expand with at what point do you want us to expand. So if it's at LG, then this one should have different styling. This one should have sort of different styling. Yeah. So that's the work of this one. Then before we go far, we have another. Oh, I'm skipping the container here. So as I said, the container defines where we start our margins. So you'll notice our margin from behind the navbar, you'll notice there's space, and after count, you'll notice there's some space. It's because the container class by default has a maximum height of, not a maximum height, a maximum width of about 1200 pixels. If it's not 1000 pixels. So there's also another class that's larger than the container, the so-called container fluid class. So container fluid class sort of has a larger max width as compared to the container class. So if I refresh that one, you will notice now with the container fluid, our navbar sort of starts at the end and our count ends at the end there. Because with the container fluid, it kind of tries to use the maximum possible available screen width, but not maximum possible. It has a fixed width. Let me just confirm the width using it here, because I believe that's the best way to go around it. Container class, container fluid. Here's the max width. Okay, they tend to have a maximum width. To quickly illustrate that one, let me just remove my developer tools and close them that way, so that we can expand more than the given space. So we are at 1300. How can I go beyond that one? Oh, I can reduce the screen size. Yes, that's the thing. 1400. Oh, okay. It really doesn't have the fixed width. It's just the container that has a fixed width. So yeah, you can see for the container fluid, it has no fixed width, but for the container, it has a given fixed width. Let's just confirm what width it is. So yeah, that's the width. It has this width, so you can just reduce this one. We can be able to see the max width of container. Actually, it's 1400 pixels. Yeah, it's 1400 pixels. So for a container, I believe, yeah, it has a max width of 1400 pixels. I believe there we are together. So that's for the container. Then next we have this navbar brand. The navbar brand, kind of just the branding. This is where you put your logo, put something that will identify you quickly. Then we have this database toggle. This one contains the navbar that appears when you are beyond some width. That is this button here, the button that will help us toggle our navigation bar. I believe that's for the navbar, and the rest of the information here is just about the navbar. I'm not going to go deep through it because I've not taking a lot of time there. So for now, I'll just hold it there and let you go. Maybe check it further how you could do this. But purely whenever you have defined your collapse navbar collapse class, then in it you have to kind of initiate the UL with navbar nav, then just nav items with nav links, nav item with a nav link class. That's it for the navbar. Any questions there?
Mwalimu,
Yes.
can you create us a BTN?
Yeah.
Then on that BTN, large LG, and then you put a hash on your toggle. I don't know if it's in your toggle. Then I think you use an A tag also. You include an A tag on that BTN,
Yeah.
and I think that will link us to home.
Okay. So I really don't have to use the ID. So maybe use the href, but hrefs are usually used with A tags. I'm not going to illustrate it
Yeah,
on the
actually,
navbar, so I'll just illustrate it here. I'm going to change my
BTN,
yeah, I have done that one.
BG warning.
So for that reason, you don't have to do BG warning, just do BTN warning. It'll
BTN.
just yeah. And for this reason, I'm going to use a container here, dot container, dot padding y of 5, so that we can have it sort of styled somewhere, not really. Let me close my dev tools here. Let me dock them back at the end there. No, not this side. I can't see anything. I'm unable to read the opposite style, so I have to kind of push it this other side. There we go. So go to the home page. Go to the home page. So this is our BT button. Yeah, so you'll notice this one is pointing to the home page. Okay, of course it was not been given the right, but that's how you do a link, a BTN link. So just do BTN, then BTN warning. So with the BTN warning, it's kind of doing the whatever you were saying, the BG warning thing. But now to make it sort of work better, we usually do just BTN warning, so that if I want to just this is a filled button, sort of the background is filled. But if I wanted to change it to make it outline, I can just add something there. So BTN outline warning, to make it have just a border of the yellow color and the color itself to be the warning. When I hover, I get that thing. If you try to hard code this one using the so-called BG warning, you won't get the so good effects of hovering. You'll notice that one. You won't get that hover effect, but at the same time, it will depend on your design. So yeah. Okay. Who is this? Joe, is your question answered? Then I can just do my href there.
Yeah.
Slash. That's to the
Yeah,
home
you can
page.
do your href.
Yep. That's the thing. BTN large is for large buttons. We have BTN SM. Is it SM? Yeah, we have BTN SM. And for the normal button, you don't have to do BTN MD. Nope. You just leave it that way. It will be a normal, not really large, not really small button. I'm not sure whether we have BTN XES. No, this one does not exist. Yep, that one doesn't exist. Yeah, BTN XES does not exist.
Mwalimu, another question.
Yes.
I tried to put a shadow, a background color on the end of my shadow. I don't know if I was supposed to use border -5, then border -success, in order for me to put, because it refused to put the color at the end start.
Yeah, I've done that too, and it has worked.
Not
Okay.
that I mean end start. It refused to put the color.
Okay, you must have missed something when you were doing the the border thing. Maybe we have also shadow, and for shadow usually it's just kind of just provides a shadow. You see sort of the background, that blackish color that has come behind my button. And you can also change the shadow size. I believe we have shadow LG, yeah, the shadow large, shadow SM, and the shadow for the normal shadow. So SM, LG, and if you want MD, you just do shadow. So yeah, for borders and for other shadows, you might be forced to do your own styling. That one, I believe I'll let you do your own research on that one. But just go to CSS box shadows and you learn more about the shadows. So that you can take the Mozilla developer tool. Not so intuitive, but yeah, you can take that one. But if you get yourself this link, the so-called CSS trees box shadow, believe this one of the best tools in this case, because it kind of illustrates most of the things about shadows. If you want some sort of duplicated shadows, or it shows a lot about shadows, and it's a really large content, but it will show you more about those shadows. They are reloading. My screen is hanging because yeah, OBS is running and it's consuming the rest of the resources. It's consuming the rest of the RAM. So yeah, I believe so. That's about box shadows using CSS tricks, or you use the 93 CSS box shadows, and the other useful things, not Mozilla tools and not 33 schools. But for Mozilla, it's critical. Mozilla illustrates more to do with shadows because it explains like the in-depth analogy behind, because this is the main docs. That's the Mozilla developer. Okay, developer Mozilla. Yeah, and if you notice Chrome, yeah, sort of runs this thing by Mozilla. So this one illustrates more about shadows, and I believe if you scroll down, you'll also learn more about browser compatibility. This is like the entire source code where you learn, if I do this sort of thing, will it be compatible with the rest of the browsers? Because yeah, you are not maybe developing only for Chrome or Edge or Firefox. There are several other browsers like Safari, which is used by Mac users. We have Opera, yeah, used by several other people mostly in the Android world. And we also have the Chrome Android, that's for different OSs, I believe. So that's the work of developer, or the Mozilla docs. So for Mozilla docs are kind of the go-to tool to learn whether this thing will work or it won't work for this given browser. But generally, it's a great tool to use when you are learning about web development, be it JavaScript, be it CSS, and be it HTML. I think it covers those three. Yeah, mostly web dev. That is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So it helps us in that one. So just check it out whenever you want to learn more about the in-depth knowledge of a CSS property. Use developer, and to use it correctly, don't even struggle to find something. Just type in. You can start by site and say maybe Mozilla, and just do CSS. Maybe you can even, is it a comma or a semicolon? I'm not sure. You can do CSS box. Let's how is it called? Is it the, let's say you wanted to learn about, let's even search CSS color. So when you introduce Mozilla in your search, Google will sort of filter results based on the Mozilla dev tools or the Mozilla website. They will notice no CSS color just from Mozilla, and I believe most of the links here will all be Mozilla. Just do site Mozilla, then do whatever you want to search. It's not only for CSS color. You can also search for JavaScript date dates like that. So that's why I usually do my searches sometimes. I know a site I want to go to, just walk right into it. So if I search that way, it will just filter those results for that given site. Yeah. So let's drop the search aside and get back to our work. Okay, yeah, I believe, John, we are in the same page now.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, we are.
Okay.
And I think the last one,
Yes.
between responsive and justifying, which is the best that I can use to put my columns to be like, because when you try to join them, sometimes they join each other. So I
Columns.
was wondering if I should, call, yeah, if I should, justify them or use responsive to make them 100% to be on with to be able to be viewed by all devices without them getting closer to each other.
Oh, right. So I believe also you missed something. So maybe let's go to the docs. I show you something. Not to the docs. We are at the docs. So let's just do something here on the homepage. So I believe this will help me solve something that I was to cover in a moment. So I'm going to introduce the row, and the row will introduce us the grid system for Bootstrap. And I just remember, whenever you are doing the grid system in most CSS, uh, in the most CSS frameworks, they all use the so-called 12 grid system. Though some go to 24 grid system. Like you can split your row up to 24 parts, but usually just go with the 12. It's more common even with the Google material design. But for now, yeah. So the row will introduce us the grid system purely for Bootstrap. And let me move this one. Oh, okay. Let me do it in a. And they usually don't place your row on its own, like it's the parent element on its own. It's usually tricky. Just do it in a something like a container fluid or something. Otherwise, your row will start overflowing, and you will never understand why your row is overflowing. And with overflow, I mean like yeah. So let's say style width equals to what can we do here? Let's just do calc 100% plus 1200 px. So if I reload this page, you will notice something else. Oh, yep. Okay. Sort of, I think Bootstrap has killed the overflow. Anyways, whenever you have like a large width as compared to the parent, then there should always be an overflow might occur. Usually when you don't use a framework, but Bootstrap sort of has taken care of that. Anyway, let's talk about the row. Whenever you have a row like this one, I'm going to do some style here. Just quickly, I'm going to write style dot box, and for the our box, I'm going to set the background color to red, and for the height, I'm going to set it to 300 pixels, and for the width, I'm going to give it a width of 100%. Yeah. So let's say we have a row. I've just created this to reuse it somewhere here. Okay, let me copy the same and change the class a bit. I want to have two of them, so I'll just call this one box underscore 2. Reduce the opacity of this. Can I just do opacity? I'm not sure whether opacity can affect the background. Let me do something that I know that can work. I'm going to use RGBA. Red is at 255, 0 point maybe 5. Yeah. So let's say we have our row like this, and we have columns. So to define our columns, we usually do dot call. Yeah, dot call. And if I copy this and paste it below here, I'm going to add a div here, just a small. So this one is going to be dot box, and I'm going to add the other one here, dot box underscore 2. Now that we have those two, let's see what we have first before I proceed. you will notice now I have two divs equally spaced and having the equal size, because by default call class takes 50%. No, it takes a flex of 1. Flex of 1 means it will take just enough space but equal space 2 for each child. That's flex 1. And the row has display flex. So the call by default call class, just call, will tend to take 50. If you have 2, they'll tend to take 50-50. But let's say you had 3, we'll just copy that one, paste it here. So they'll tend to take that 3% of the given space, just a third of the space. That's what they will do. Let's say we had 4, so I'm going to copy this second one, the box 2 here, and paste it here. So this means they will tend to take a quarter of the space, like they are 4, so just a quarter. So a quarter is 4 equals to 1. That's flex 1. So by default, when you're defining display flex, it's the row is display flex, and this one, all they have flex 1. So what if this one should not have flex 1? This should have. Anyway, we'll come back to the flex, but that was covered the other time when we were doing the CSS. So if I tend to go to small screen, you will notice the same spacing will be taken care. Like everything will be taking care of its own space, taking a quarter of the given space, a quarter of 100%. So this is 25%, 25%, 25%. But that's not what you intend for your responsive screen. So that's where using call class is kind of tricky. So you don't have to specifically use call class. So you must, or you should, tend to use a different approach. That is introducing breakpoints. So for this one, I want, okay, let me go back here. I'll tend to go to the larger screen. I want each column here to take a quarter of the space. Like I need to have 4 columns for this given row. So I need to have to call MD4. I'll just copy up to there and introduce it for each of the columns. Like that. So the moment I do that one and refresh the page, you will notice I still have my 4 columns, or my, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry for that one. Yeah, I was talking about the tool grid system, but let me explain why column D4 tend to have this one overflowing to the next, like wrapping down to the next row. But before I do that one, let me explain why column D4 is important, or it will help us in our use case here. So we have column D4, and you will notice now I have only 3 of those guys here, and one has gone to the next row. Call it the next row. If I inspect this and go to small screen, let's say you want large screen. Why is this thing not updating? Yeah, let's say you want large screen, you have your 3 columns. The moment you tend to go to small screen, you will notice your screen kind of, yeah, shrinking them down, and then boom, each of them taking 100% of the given width. That's 100% because of the container thing. So if you have that and you go down, each column is taking 100% of the given width. Now I don't have an overlapping column. Like the content still remains the same, only that the arrangement has just switched a bit. Now it's down, not horizontal. So whenever you tend to use your columns, just define how much you need for anything that's above MD. And I said above MD is above 760 pixels. So just remember that one. MD above 760 pixels. Is it above? Just do the code there, 768px. That's for an MD. And we finally have LG above 992 pixels. That's LG. And we have the so-called XL, which is above 1200, I believe. Then for the other 2 small ones, we have SM, that is, will take care of 400 or 36, not sure. Now this is XS, and we have a same. I think this one is above for seat 556, and this one is about 412. I'm not sure whether I've explained this ones correctly, or I should reverse the thing, or it should be like less than or equal to. I'm not sure. You might go ahead to check that one. Okay. Yeah. So just remember, whenever you are using these classes, this is what they intend to use. So column D4, it means anything that is above 760 pixels should take, it's not really above 760 pixels. Is it 556 pixels? Up to 760 pixels. Sort of. I believe this one might be meaning something else. So let me just write it here. So for the column D4, it means like anything above 556 pixels, 556 px upwards. Sit that way. Hi. Anyway, you will just learn to use them as you go on. Because yeah, it's really hard to explain this how it works for me.
MD5 is going upwards, MD4 is going down, and I think MD6 is the last one.
Nope. So that's not the way. I just know I'll just stop explaining them so that you just use them and understand how they work. Because they kind of have different meanings depending on the place you are. MD in this case, yeah, in the row it means something else. For the shadows it means something else. For the paddings it means something else. Anyways, oh, that's for anything. Anyways, just know MD, they sort of have different dimensions, and you can give, let me just give all the classes here and we can identify. So for call MD, take 4. I want you for call SM, take 6. For call LG, take 3. And for call Excel, take 2. Just copy this one, and maybe this one can explain everything better. Yeah, you can change classes, these column classes like this. This is for different screen sizes. So I'll just pop my thing here, pop it off, so that we have a larger working screen, and then reload the page. It's taking long to load because yeah, my resources are just being consumed. Yeah, now that we are on a small screen, you can see everything is at, like it's taking call 12, call MD12. But the moment I start expanding, we are below 556 pixels, remember? So let me just go slowly. Okay, it's not 556. Yeah, it's 589. So which is this? Is it 572? Maybe 572. Let me just confirm. Actually, it's 575. Yeah, 576, not 556. It's 576, like that. So the moment we have hit 576, that's where we have defined SM upwards. Whenever we are at SM upwards, x6 of the given space, call SM6. Like take a half. So if you recall well, I said about the 12 grid, the 12 columns that we have in a row. So 6 means just take this 6, copy it, and divide by, yeah, 12 divided by 6. And you'll notice you have only 2 columns. That's the thing. 12 divided by 6 equals to 2. That's at the SM level. Let's proceed to MD. So I'll just go slowly so that we don't exceed it. Is it at 760 pixels? Or so, yeah. Let's go up slowly. So the moment we hit at 760 pixels and above, take like, just take our 4. Let's just calculate that one. So we have said this first one is for SM, and the next one we are going to have is for MD. So it's 12 the MD one we have defined 4 divided by 4. How many columns do you expect? You expect 3 columns. Divided by 4, expect 3 columns. And that's what you get, three of those columns. So let's proceed down. The next one is it's taking call LG3, so divided by 3, and we expect it at 992 pixels and above. So I'm going to go to 992 pixels. I've skipped the 992. Yeah. So let's scroll to the 992. So the moment we hit 992 pixels and above, we expect to have 4 columns because we are dividing 12 divided by 3 equals to 4. What if we are at above extra large? So above extra large, we have said take 2. So 12 divided by 2 is 6 columns. So if we go beyond the large screen, we expect each of these to take just 2. Like 2 of those of the 12 columns. I'll just reduce my screen size to be smaller, or the scaling factor, so that if we exceed, is it 1200? Let's just confirm right now. Yep. You see, at 1199 we are at 4 columns, but the moment we exceed or we hit 1200 and above, we get now each of these columns just taking enough of it, just 2 of the given space. Okay, is it 2 of the given space or just a small percentage, like 12 divided by 2? What percentage is that? I have no idea. So this one is 50%. This one is sort of that 3%. This one is sort of 25%. If you were to illustrate that one in other terms, so this should be 25%, and this should be that 3.33%. This one should be 50%. Anyway, you get where I'm heading. This one should be about 12.5% of the given space. Like, yeah, just take a small space, not everything, just 12%, because it's a larger screen. So you don't really have to take scroll 6 and make our cards look weird. Just take a small percentage of it. Anyway, that's about the rows. So whenever you have this, and also remember you can expand this and it can take more of this, guys. So you can add the 2 so that you can fill up to the end. And now you can see we have 2 more. Now let it load. Now you can see we have a full. Let me switch the second class to half box. We sort of have a full. Our cards are covering full. But just remember, these things work upwards. So just call SM6 upwards till the moment it will meet the next breakpoint. If it meets this one, then it will take whatever you have defined here upwards. If it hits that one LG, okay, I'll run with the LG now. The moment it hits Excel, then you will take the Excel rules upwards. So just remember that one. So whenever you are defining your columns, remember to define them how you want them to look. By default, they will have the column will take 100% of the given space, and you could be using call SM6, and at the same time you don't really have to use call SM6. So let me just illustrate another one. So div.row.call 6. So the rhythm is the same, except this one will persist to small screen. So I'll just introduce my box here. So box 2 and box 1. Let me format it so that this should be box. So if I reload the page and Robin. Okay, just a moment. I've done this on the wrong place. I need to do it in the right place. Where did I miss this one? I didn't miss it. I did it in the correct place. This is a different row. This is a different row. At container fluid. This is funny. And nobody saw that one coming. Should be container dash fluid. This is row call 6. And where do I have like this one? Oh, yeah. That the only reason it's appearing weird is because of this. So let's sort of have some margin top of about 5 just to space our rows. Yep. So you'll notice now we have here 2 columns here. We have just defined them with call 6, call dash 6, call 6. So if I tend to reduce the size of this, you will notice like while the rest are sort of morphing to their low. Okay, why can't we add some margins here? I believe we can. It will be far better that way, so that things don't look weird the way they want to look like. So yeah, just remember this one also. Just always have some margin bottom for your cards, otherwise they'll be looking weird and sort of holding to each other. Yeah, we need that space like that. So the moment I continue to go down, you will notice the upper cards are sort of morphing to their specifics, like to their widths that we defined. So we go, this one will morph to call 6, like this one, of course, like the last one here. This is our last cards at the end here. But the more we go down, the top cards will tend to take 100% of the width. Those are those cards that we didn't purely fix the widths. But for the call 6, they will tend to remain that way even if we go to the smallest screen. So they have, these things have different use cases, and I believe you will just know the use cases the moment you need them. For example, when you are redefining a reply card, or when you are making a reply card, they'll tend to have just a moment. Okay, sa acha tuanzie klasi hapa. Okay, guess I've just received news you are not getting me, so I'll tend to stop it here and let you follow through the video. Just remember the call will tend to have a fixed width whenever you go down. If you were to define call something here, call 4, it will have call 4 till the end. So yeah, that's about columns, and that's about the introduction to Bootstrap. So let's stop it here.